It's a pleasure, an intellectual and emotional pleasure to have Martin Jacques and Ravi Jacques visit us at Sabancı University as part of the Sabancı University Reading Club. We are very happy that he came from England just for us. He came all the way from England and our beautiful city, and then he's going to return, and I hope he's going to come back. We are going to have our book club here, where we're going to start by a talk by Martin, and then by Fatih Okyar, Fatih, where are you? Who are our resident expert on China, who teaches both our undergraduates and our high school students. In the summer, I teach high school as well, and it's going to be open discussion. So thank you very much for being here, and hearty welcome, and thank you very much to both Martin and Ravi Jacques for honoring us by being here. Thank you.
There are two problems that China raises for us. The first is the sheer speed of its transformation. I mean, this has absolutely no historical parallel whatsoever, in two senses. First of all, a country growing at roughly 10% for 30 years. And secondly, not just any old country, but a population, one with a population of 1.3 billion people. Now, until around about 2000, the impact of China's rise was largely Chinese, because it was a very small economy. In 1978, it was still a very small economy. So a small economy growing at 10% a year, even with a population of 1.3 billion people and so on, has a limited impact. But from around about 2000, the Chinese economy had grown to some kind of tipping point, if you like, where its impact was no longer overwhelmingly Chinese, but it was actually the impact on the world. It began to change the world with great speed. If your economy is very small, it can be growing at 10% a year. It doesn't really have much global effect. But when the economy reaches the size China's had today, a third of the size of the American economy, 10% a year means you're growing roughly doubling every 7 years or 7 or 8 years. Then each year, and as you'll see, I'm going to show you some stuff later on, you'll see each year, that literally China's impact, at least for the foreseeable future, is accelerating. It's not bottoming out, it's not leveling, it is accelerating. 2025, the Chinese economy almost the same size as the American economy. Now the projection is no longer 2027 for the Chinese economy to overtake the size of the American economy, but 2020. That's the result of the financial crisis. And this is a question that Ravi was asking me earlier on. The Chinese economy projected to be twice the size of the American economy by 2050. Of course, that's a long way ahead. But just a reminder about what we're talking about in this new kind of world: 4 times the population, China, United States. If the Chinese would be much poorer than the Americans. If they had the same standard of living, China would be 4 times the size of the American. But it was a very flexible system. It had lots of iterations. It operated differently from country to country. And it was a sort of culturally symbolic system. What mattered to the Chinese, above all, was the recognition, it's very important to the Chinese, that they are superior. And this superiority is expressed in the fact that every year, according to the Qing calendar, every year the ruler of whatever country it was expected to present tribute.
I think by market capitalization, the Chinese stock markets are now second after US. But we must understand that in the stock exchanges, just anybody cannot get listed in stock exchanges in China. The listing procedures are very long, and companies listed are the state-owned companies. So it's not a good representation of the economy in general. Yeah. About the fruits of the growth going where? Yes, I mean, in China, the share of the wages and share of the household income are extremely low compared to other countries. As Martin also has mentioned, in China, we are talking about a country who's saving more than 50% of its income. Yeah. The company gives the design to a Taiwanese company, production to a Korean company, components to the others. Only two ends of the value process are left in the US. One, the conceptual design, which requires that you are familiar with the market, with the tastes and so on, and the sales. But the problem is that they are the highest value-added ones, you know, these two ends.
Well, I'm going to be flexible like the Chinese and unpredictable. So I did promise 3 questions, but now I'm going to adapt to the situation. So my young friends, colleagues will excuse me if we have the questions in the buffet since time is going on. And let's thank our speakers and enjoy the buffet together.